Mrs. Campbell. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my honor tonight to introduce our keynote speaker, Mr. Jim McGinnis. Mr. McGinnis, I told you they loved you.
Oh, yeah.
Jim McGinnis is a Florida native who has lived in Melbourne his entire life, and he graduated from Melbourne High School in 1977. Mr. McGinnis went on to earn a bachelor's degree in social science from Rollins College and a master's degree in political science from the University of Central Florida. He began his teaching career at Melbourne High School in 1984. Over the last 35 years, Mr. McGinnis has taught thousands of students and become a legend in the process. He is a history teacher's history teacher, an expert in his field, and a great storyteller, as all good history teachers are. Mr. McGinnis has taught several different courses over his career, but he is best known for his work in and his love for American history. He's a highly respected teacher on our campus. Students still request his courses at a very high rate, and I know there are many of you sitting out there tonight, seniors, who had him as a teacher over the last 4 years. In addition to his work inside the classroom, Mr. McGinnis coached baseball here at Melbourne High School for over 30 years and can still be seen on the sidelines at Bulldog baseball games. Jim McGinnis is the author of 2 books, Tending to the Past, Reflections of an American History Teacher, which, seniors, by the way, is an excellent book if you're looking for something good to read this summer. And he's also the author of a collection of poetry and photography called Points South. Recently, Mr. McGinnis has been sharing his stories and musings on his podcast called Stories We Can Tell. Would you please join me in welcoming Mr. Jim McGinnis?
That's for Mr. Woodbury. He's timing me. Thank you, Mr. Kirk. That was quite an introduction. Good evening, class of 2019, and congratulations. It's a high honor to speak at this, my alma mater, to you. And let's also hear it for all the alumni that are here tonight. Good. We're going to be hitting you up for some money soon. Half kidding. This place is a part of me. 35 members of my family have attended Melbourne, and many of them graduated. I'm thrilled to represent my fellow teachers. I think I lost that thing. Whose passion and devotion inspire us all. And of course, tonight we remember our dear colleagues. That hit me. Brian Karcher and Vicki Detweiler. All right, let's go. It's been said that all life can be divided into 2 parts, anticipation and memory. And I guess that's what it all comes down to. Something good is about to happen. But this graduation thing has got to feel a little weird. All your endings and beginnings are tangled up today. But on this day, we bask in the sunny optimism of youth. I remember being young. I like to think there's a little young still left in me. My wife said, What is youth anyway? It's not about numbers, it's how you see the world. To be young is to be naively brave about the possibilities, to be defiantly hopeful about the future. Now, with all the tomorrows and yesterdays staring you down, I hope you keep hold of the present. Today is the day, said the old pirate. Treasure is today. You knew I was going to say that. There is so much good in this world, and you're going to find it. There is beauty, there is joy, laughter, and love in your future. But there's a whole lot of that in the here and now. Jimmy Kaminsky, a friend and fellow Melbourne Bulldog, taught us all a great lesson. Never let today get away from you. He tried to take time out of every day to take a plunge in the ocean. Every day. And that could have been a metaphor for his whole life. Don't forget today. Don't miss it. Take the plunge. We like to think of our lives as journeys, and what a long, strange trip mine has been. What do you need for your journey? I'd say travel light. The Beatles said all you need is love, and they might be right. That's a good start anyway, that in a bathing suit. At least that's what Jimmy would say. So many things you need, you already have. Not everything, but a lot. It's all about awakening things that are already inside you. We Irish talk about having an old soul, but we covet the young heart. What is in that young heart that's so bloody special? How about audacity? Theodore Roosevelt likened America to a grizzly bear because of its audacity. A little blind and reckless at times, amen, but courageous, indomitable, and unconquered, like you. Be audacious. Dare anyone to get in the way of your pursuit of happiness and purpose. Purpose, I happen to believe that true happiness can only come with a sense of purpose. On Jackie Robinson's gravestone, it says, "A life is not important except for the impact it has on other lives." You know, we're driven down by random acts of horror. We're cut marrow deep by senseless acts of hate. But let us salve our souls with music and laughter, for we know that love is also great. To be young is to be non-cynical. Cynicism, Stephen Colbert said, masquerades itself as wisdom, a rejection of the world because we're afraid it will hurt us or disappoint us. Don't be afraid. That's a giant waste of time. Don't be afraid. Go ahead and get your hopes up. Be stubborn about it. Allow yourself to be inspired, corny, cheesy. Better to be a greater fool than die a cynical smartass. Someone who knows the cost of everything and the value of nothing. Along with audacity, there is within you that magnificent power of improvisation, the ability to make do, to adapt, to do things on the fly. Not quite the speech, though. Contrary to popular belief, our nation's founders were young. They weren't old. They were young and audacious, and they improvised. But when I ponder this, I can hear the most American of all art forms in my ear, jazz, making itself up as it goes along. It's given birth to almost every single form of modern music, and all of them are edgy, authentic, improvisational, demanding independence and collaboration at the very same time. Ain't that America? You know, I don't know what you're going to be. I'm excited to find out, but whatever it is, you better be good at winging it. Our inventors, our musicians and artists, our soldiers and first responders, and our teachers are at their best when they're on the fly. It's who we are. Improvisation demands creativity, spontaneity, and guts. Maybe as a nation, we should not be looking for a way back to greatness, but a way to recapture the spirit of a young country, to be once again naively brave about the possibilities. When I think of that spirit of youth, I think of vision, the ability to see with one's imagination. John Kennedy had vision, and he spoke directly to young people, just like you. It was a call to duty, a call to choose public interest over private comfort. His words are as fresh now as they ever were, and as I gaze out at the name on that sign, my mentor, Tom McIntyre, and good friend, I remember that he embodied so many of Kennedy's ideals. He believed in living up to the promise. It's not just the leader's job to have vision. We all have to see with our imagination. And then there's resilience, the capacity to recover quickly from difficulty, toughness. I got news for you. There are some dark days ahead of you. You're going to get knocked down a lot. You're going to fail, but that's all right. That's okay. Pick yourself up, Richardson. Dust yourself off and climb right back in. Resilience. The best word in the English language, I think, is rally. My father taught me a lot of things, including my second language. None more important than the nobility of work. How if you work for something hard enough, long enough, the work becomes the something. That something allows us to take pride in our achievements rather than ourselves. He believed very much that there was as much dignity in pounding a nail or turning a wrench or raising your kids or driving a tractor than any other profession, because they all come down to one lesson: stand on your own hind legs, pull your weight. Ain't that America? While we're on the subject of my dad, He once said to me, Seamus O'Haka. That's my Irish name. So obviously this conversation was late at night. If you lose your sense of humor, you just might lose yourself. Of course, humor involves laughing at yourself, as my friends and heroes have reminded me often. Laughing at that face in the mirror is the first step toward losing your self-importance and moving on to bigger and better things. Now, of all these things within you, maybe the most important one is resistance. Don't back down. Don't stand your ground. Don't back down. That's from Tom Petty, a fellow Floridian, slightly cooler than the rest of us. I have high hopes for each of you, but I worry, straight up, I worry that you take your place in society with that worn-out approach of going along to get along, and you forget how important it is to stand your ground. It ain't easy to stand up for injustice and stupidity, against stupidity. There you go. It's a whole lot easier if you don't rock the boat, but we have to fight the fight. The same forces our ancestors fled in the first place, intrusive government and narrow-minded neighbors. So how about it? Call yourself out. Rise to the occasion. Go march to your own drummer, but if you follow or you lead, may your conscience hold you prisoner and serve the captive's need. It takes a good, clear eye to see what's right, and it takes courage to do what's right. I wish I had more. It takes guts. It's hard, and that's the glory of it. Maybe resistance is more than that. Jim Harrison, a favorite writer of mine, said, "You're a river. You move along because life itself moves along and you cannot stop it." Folks, time flows over us, between us, and through us, and the current threatens to wash everything away. But then there is what Frost called that wave against the stream, resistance. In each of us, there is a need for tending to our past and going against the flow. Not just a swerving, but a throwing back toward our beginnings. Resistance comes in all sizes and shapes. Bob Dylan, one of the great songwriters, first learned every Woody Guthrie song and damn near every Muddy Waters song before he ever wrote his own. Those songs were rescued because they surely would have gotten carried away. Alice Paul led 18 months of marches in front of the White House, facing arrest and beatings for demanding the right to vote. Ronald Reagan memorized every single Roosevelt fireside chat. Speeches from a man that many people thought he opposed. Go figure. But we really don't have to look very far to find perhaps the best example of resistance. The defender of the Everglades, the champion of our beloved Florida, Marjorie Stoneman Douglas. She said, you got to stand up for some things in this world. Be a nuisance when it counts. Do your part. Inform and stimulate the public to join your actions. And be depressed and discouraged and disappointed at failure and the disheartening effects of ignorance, greed, corruption, and bad politics. But never give up. Never give up. This place, this America, and its crazy idea of freedom is in itself a wave against the flow. But again, we're faced with the truth about the river, that it threatens to wash away all things. So we must resist first by remembering what we stand for and what we stand against. The trick for you is to stay wicked curious. Keep learning. Keep asking questions that nobody wants to answer. Then you and your country won't spend its years in a cold winter. It will be a harvest. Maybe if each of us offer the world a little more compassion, a little more kindness, less hatred, more laughter, more forgiveness, a little more hope, less fear, more love. Of course, that brings us back to the Beatles, doesn't it? So get yourself free. Be an island then unto your family and your friends. Tend to your own garden. Find your own connection to the wheres and whats and whens, and may those family and friends be the best things that you know. May you feel the sanctity of holding on and letting go, but holding out. That's indeed the toughest test, to stand your ground and do your level best to keep your youth unbound, to nurture deep inside you the spirit of the child, to try to keep alive within what is magic and what is wild. Take a drive down A1A and leave your worries there. Roll down all the windows, let the wind blow through your hair. Play the music loud and smell the ocean air. Take the plunge. Find yourself a back porch with a hammock or a swing. Take the time to read. Take the time to sing. Find a dog to rescue, or better yet, let him rescue you. These are my hopes and wishes as you move on through the years, sweetened by the laughter and salted by the tears. May you whisper poetry and songs into your children's ears and your grandparents. Hold them tightly to your breast and calm their greatest fears. Tell them stories and listen to theirs. It's all about the stories. We've known this all the while, so for this, your graduation day, I leave you with a smile and finally an end to all my rambling. Stay young.
I confirm that
Mr.
these
McGinnis.
seniors have met all the requirements for high school graduation set forth by Brevard Public Schools and the state of Florida. By the power vested in me, I hereby declare the class of 2019 to be graduates of Melbourne High School. Congratulations.